Well, today I wanted to give y'all some education on LinkedIn and kind of best practices for using it. I know LinkedIn can be a little bit of an intimidating beast to go after, so I thought this would be a great time for us to kind of go over some high-level things. And so this is just a quick overview of what we'll kind of talk about today and what we'll go over. And if you have any questions about anything going on, feel free to stop me or ask me later. Totally fine with that. So I wanted to kind of start this with asking all of y'all what your position on LinkedIn right now looks like. If you've maybe had it for years, or maybe you don't have an account yet, or maybe you've had your account and you don't really make use of it. There's not really any wrong answer to it, but then I have a second question with that of where do you want to be and where do you what would be your optimal experience with LinkedIn if you could put it into words?
So I do not have an account, which is wild because I know everyone has one. So I think I'm just really excited for this because I don't fully understand the value in it. I know it's super valuable. Like, I guess I'm saying I don't know the value for me in it. But I am very excited to learn more about it, and then also learn, just about if I got one, if that could help the team. Obviously, would love to help with all of that. So.
For me, we were required to kind of set that up in college, kind of as a way of networking and learning how to use that. So now I'm to the point where I feel like I understand the basics of how to use LinkedIn. I have my profile for the most part set up. I think there's probably a few things I could do. But I know I feel like LinkedIn is one of those social media platforms that's a little bit complex and confusing because there's just so many things you can do on it. But maybe it's not as well, people don't really know how. So I'm really excited to learn more kind of about the ins and outs of it.
Yeah, I've got a LinkedIn. I use it mostly for just networking, connecting, and trying to reach out to people. I feel as though it could be pretty powerful for expanding a network. But it always feels like it's so being social media, it draws that funny line where you see things on there that just shouldn't be on there. Yeah. And then you see stuff on there that's this is just really too boring for me to even be engaged in. And it's where you find that middle ground. So I just kind of just use it for reaching out to individuals directly that route.
Yeah, for me, I mean, I've had it for a long time. I would say it's definitely dated. But what I've appreciated about it is it is a great place to be the starting point of trying to, reach the target people you're trying to get after, to at least be a visible component to a part of the bigger pie of how you're gonna, get to your ultimate, target audience. And I've seen a tremendous amount of power if it's done appropriately and judiciously. I think it's extremely powerful, and where I'd really want it to be is to where it's very aligned with everything else that we're trying to message, and that we utilize it in its optimized form. So.
Well, thank you all for sharing. I know it definitely can be intimidating, and there's parts of it that are definitely dated, like y'all said, but it can be very useful. And I definitely want y'all to keep in mind what you would like to get from LinkedIn as we go through this, because just like anything else, goal setting for using LinkedIn can help give you direction for your best next step. And hopefully you can take something valuable from here. So I wanted to share with y'all here we go. There we go. I wanted to share with y'all these statistics and let you know that there are 199 million users on LinkedIn just in the United States, which means that 76.29% of the adult population is using LinkedIn. And, LinkedIn is a professional networking social media platform that allows individuals to connect with others in their field or industry. And with 199 million people using LinkedIn in America, it's become a really valuable tool for job seekers, recruiters, and businesses alike. And it provides a platform for individuals to share their expertise and knowledge through articles and posts. This can lead to increased visibility and recognition within the industry, and overall, the high numbers of LinkedIn users in America highlights the importance of professional networking and the value of utilizing a platform like LinkedIn to advance with your business goals. So whether you're on LinkedIn, so regardless of where you are with your LinkedIn journey, if you keep in mind that there are 199 million opportunities to connect that are just waiting for you to reach out, it makes it so much more exciting to kind of jump into things. Ooh, there we go. So there are a lot of people who don't use LinkedIn still, and there are a lot of people who don't really make full use of LinkedIn. And so there's the big question of why not? And there are two main factors to that, which are that LinkedIn can be overwhelming and that engaging with others can be really daunting. And so I wanted to kind of go over those. But firstly, LinkedIn can feel overwhelming to those who are new to the platform, and it has so many features that it can just be difficult to know where to start. So additionally, some people may not see the value in using LinkedIn or may not understand how to use it effectively for their personal or professional goals. And then secondly, some individuals may feel intimidated or unsure about how to engage with other people on the platform. Whether it's reaching out to potential connections or participating in group discussions, it can be challenging to navigate those kinds of interactions in a way that feels authentic and productive. And then lastly, which I didn't put on the slide, but a lot of people don't have the time or energy to devote to using LinkedIn regularly. With busy schedules and competing priorities, it can be really hard to carve out the time that's necessary to maintain an active presence on the platform, but it really works just like any other social media that we get on, and it can be easier if you think about it like switching out. Instead of going on Facebook during that time, you could go on LinkedIn instead. But despite these challenges, there are many benefits to using LinkedIn regularly, from networking to thought leadership and industry insights, and LinkedIn can be a really valuable tool for personal and professional growth. And with patience and effort, anyone can really learn to use LinkedIn effectively and reap the rewards of a strong online presence. So I wanted to ask if anyone feels like these kinds of things, they impact you whenever it comes to using LinkedIn, or if there's something else that maybe impacts you to not take full advantage of LinkedIn.
I think for me, like, I feel like LinkedIn is just very business oriented, and that's kind of the only thing that it could help with. And so I think I just have a closed mind towards it because I don't know all about it, so I think that keeps me from going on it.
Yeah,
That's totally understandable. And a lot of, oh, go ahead.
same for me. I mean, the fact that it's very business oriented, you get like I have a sense of humor and I like to share that with people, and I'm afraid if I post that on LinkedIn, it gets like taken the wrong way in a business setting, and it's like, okay, well, that's not, humor doesn't belong in the business setting, and you kind of give people the wrong impression. And then there's some, and I see stuff on there all the time where it's people have gone completely off the scale of what's business oriented and start posting like political stuff on there, and it's like, I definitely don't want to be in that crowd. But it's finding somewhere where you like, so I guess it's really engaging with others can be daunting, because it's like, how do you make it develop a relationship when it's like completely filtered and sterile with like, hi, this is business and I do business stuff.
Yeah, definitely. And with LinkedIn, there are a lot of different ways that it can go that you can choose to, well, I'll kind of say it like there are algorithms to it, and I was about to jump into that, but there are different algorithms to it. And the more that you make use of it, the more that you get to kind of weed out the things that you're not so interested in, and then get more of the content that you are more interested in. So I appreciate y'all sharing that. And then I wanted to kind of high level on perfect profiles, which kind of wraps in with what you were talking about, Tom. But LinkedIn is just like any other social media site. And while it does tie in the aspect of work, it is still full of the same people that you would friend on Facebook or follow on Instagram. And while LinkedIn can be understandably overwhelming, if you take comfort in the fact that these are all people just like you and me, it makes it so much easier. And making the perfect profile just means that you're consistently representing an accurate depiction of yourself. So your profile will always be perfect as long as it is an accurate representation of you. And when looking at your profile, it's great to ask yourself, would I connect with this account? If the answer is no, then you're probably lacking one or more of three key qualities. And those are credibility, content, and authenticity. So we'll kind of get into how we can fix that. And we'll start with what you should not do. So kind of anti-best practices for LinkedIn. But avoiding these slip ups will keep your profile beaming with opportunity. So I wanted to start with like not letting your account gather dust and steering clear of missed opportunities, because a lack of activity on your account a lack of activity discredits your account in the eyes of others. And when you're wanting to connect and build rapport, you'll probably struggle, because when you go to request to connect with someone, their next step is to check your account. So you want to give them something to look at. And then the next thing is that you don't want to leave your account unfinished. There are a lot of steps that LinkedIn kind of takes you through to make sure that your account is full and whole. And a lot of people don't go through all of those steps before they start using LinkedIn, but you definitely want to finish putting everything onto your account, because an account with no content and no connections doesn't offer you any opportunities. And the goal is for people who do stumble upon your account to see you. And a private account will also put you in the same position as an unfinished account. And sometimes it's a little more difficult to tell that your account is private, but when you set things to only be visible to your first degree of contacts, you're missing out on so many other people seeing your account. And then lastly, I wanted to encourage that you not have an account with a low amount of connections, because the lower the amount of connections that you have on your account, the lower the potential for your account is. So my recommendation is to connect with everyone that you can. And by connecting with everyone on LinkedIn, you can expand your reach and increase your visibility in the industry. And that'll help you keep up with industry trends, new opportunities, and potential clients and partners. Additionally, having a large network can increase your chances of being discovered by others too. So it gives you a good way of like connecting with other people outside, and then having people come and connect with you too. And then the last point I wanted to offer is that LinkedIn offers a wealth of resources such as articles, forums, and groups, and they can provide really valuable insights and knowledge to help you succeed. So you want to take the time to connect with everyone that you can on LinkedIn and start reaping the benefits of that. Next, I have what you should do, or what we should all do. These steps will really like maximize the potential of your LinkedIn. And so the goal is always something that we talk about constantly, is always to maximize the return of your investment. So if you're going to be putting in any time at all with LinkedIn, then you may as well put in all the time to get it all right. And I want to start with authenticity. These are kind of those 3 points that I was talking about earlier. So starting with authenticity, in today's fast-paced digital world, authenticity has become a really highly valued trait. And that is especially true when it comes to LinkedIn. We've all received different messages that say like, hey, I really want to partner with you on this, or I really want to get you a job here, or something like that, that they're kind of coming from bots. And that gets really noticed by people really quickly, the same way that we all notice it. But when you're creating a LinkedIn profile, it's important to showcase who you truly are and avoid using buzzwords and jargon that everyone else is using, and instead use your own words to describe your skills and experience and achievements. And that'll make you stand out from the crowd and help you build really meaningful connections with other professionals. And then another way to show authenticity on LinkedIn is by engaging with your connections. So you don't want to just use the platform to promote yourself or your business, and you want to take the time to like and comment on other people's posts and share interesting insights and articles and offer helpful advice. This will help you build trust and credibility with your connections and ultimately lead to more opportunities. So if you want to make the most of your LinkedIn experience, remember that authenticity is really important, and you want to be yourself, engage with others, and let your unique personality shine through. And then the next thing I wanted to focus on is establishing and maintaining your credibility on LinkedIn. And a key aspect of this is making sure that your LinkedIn profile is always up to date, and making sure that your work experience, education, and skills are all current and accurately displayed on your profile. And with that, you want to engage with your connections by commenting on and sharing relevant content in the industry. That'll not only show that you're knowledgeable, but it will also help you build and strengthen professional relationships by consistently demonstrating your credibility on LinkedIn, you can increase your visibility and attract new opportunities. So you constantly want to make sure that you are totally credible and always posting things that are keeping you up to date and letting people know that you are in the know too. And then the last part is that you do not want to be a wallflower who only gives likes or comments on other posts, and you want to be life of the party. So just kind of jump in and start posting things. You can post thought-provoking questions, you can pour out relatable experiences, rave about a movie that you saw that you love, or recommend a book that you just can't put down. And your connections really do want to hear what you have to say, because whenever we see those things too, we're like, oh, that would be cool to go and read that book that's about leadership or something like that. So I know that this can be kind of the hardest part, is posting things yourself. So I thought it might be fun to take a minute and see if there are any ideas that y'all have for things that you could post on your LinkedIn.
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, some of the most helpful things are, you know, if there's an article that you think would be helpful for your audience, that is relevant, you know, if there's, you know, up to date information. I found that if it can be generally succinct and get to the point of the content, that's really been helpful, at least what I've seen, and then even have posted in the past. I think it's just best to keep it as simple as possible, but obviously substantive. So that would be one of the things.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I like the idea of the sharing books or posting questions. I think, yeah, questions will bring engagement. People will come, you know, will respond to that sort of stuff if it's something they're interested in.
Yeah.
I think potentially a level of vulnerability with like what your personal life looks like. So like, you know, if you just took new family photos, like maybe post a picture of your family, you know, I think that could definitely help to build trust with other people so that they get a little glimpse of, you know, what your life looks like.
Yeah, I'm really glad that you said that, actually, Michelle, because it's something that is very overlooked but really impactful with LinkedIn, is sharing things that are a little bit more personal to you. And they actually tend to have the most engagement whenever you're sharing things that are about your family or your personal interests, or maybe you have pets and you share about them. Those things catch on with LinkedIn really, really well, because they're some of the most authentic things that you can share, and people recognize that. So I'm really glad that you brought that point up, because it's totally true. So those are kind of the high levels on things that I do and don't recommend doing with your LinkedIn. And then I also wanted to go over kind of the more daunting task of connecting. And I thought it'd be good to start with what keeps you from connecting with people whenever they try to message you.
If I'm gonna be honest, for me, I think connecting with people, I'm like I don't like to really post that much on social media in general. I'm pretty like private. I don't like to, because once it's out there, like I don't know, like even if I think if I were to have like a family photo, I think I'd be hesitant, just because I'm like, oh, I don't want everyone in their connections to know, like, I don't know, there's just like kind of a level of like vulnerability with social media, just because you don't have like a personal connection with people, and you never know like who's behind you. But I totally understand also, like, it's kind of part of networking, and that's how you get engagement. So I think that's honestly what keeps me from connecting, is just like, once you are connected with somebody, then all your information, like where you go to work, where you go to school, where you're like, they can figure out where you're located. And to me, it just seems like kind of breaking that like level of vulnerability down. And so that's probably my personal reason. But yeah, that's it.
Yeah, that's, go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say, you know, if I don't think it's relevant connection, meaning like there's sometimes I get people that want to connect, and I kind of look at it and go, I just don't know the point of it. You know, like sometimes I'll get these random people from like a totally different country. So, and it always makes me suspicious too. But Yeah, so I would say that's probably, and also if I think somebody's like too pushy or like, over like trying to sell something, it's like, no, don't think so.
Yeah, I think that like reaching out to people, I reach out to people, but I have like made many iterations of the message that I send. So, and I find that, like at first I was like, oh man, I sound like I'm selling stuff. And like I just want to connect, so I try to get to a point where it's just short as possible.
Yeah.
And that seems to work, but whenever I get people reaching out to me, I just get the mentality of like, what are you selling?
Sure.
And so every once in a while, I'll take the bait and see if maybe it's not. But like the last one, I remember it resulted in like I just left the message unread, but the response from was like, I've never heard somebody say they're not interested in having more money before. It's like,
Oh my goodness.
really? Like, okay, buddy.
I love that one.
It's like, oh, you got me. I'm buying it, whatever it
Darn
is.
Kind of related to all of that, I was at Target the other day, and this has happened to me multiple times, and this is definitely connected. So I'll have somebody come up to me and look at whatever I'm looking at, and they'll like make a comment about it, like, oh gosh, it looks like all the Halloween stuff is like for boys. Isn't that weird? Like, shouldn't there be girl stuff? Or, they'll kind of like try and connect and relate to whatever I'm shopping for. And I think I'm having this genuine conversation. They're like, oh, what do you do for a living? And then I'm like, oh, you're that person that's coming to try and, get me on your team for a multi-level marketing.
Yeah.
And it's literally happened to me like 4 times. And I take it every single time because I'm like, oh, this person's just being sweet. So they're just like not forthright about why they're there. And it ends up being totally not genuine, So I think that would be something that would keep me from connecting with people, is just like, I don't know your intention. So I just automatically feel like I don't trust you.
Yeah.
That's definitely like a common consensus of there are so many people that message on LinkedIn that are sending these like super gimmicky, super bot messages, or they'll like send you a totally normal message like, hey, just wanted to connect. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, well, I could help you get to being a millionaire in the next 5 years or something like that. And so it does really off-put people from connecting, but it makes it really recognized when people are very authentic and like true about just wanting to have a connection with them and build out a network. And I think it really aligns with us and our culture and serving others authentically, and that everyone matters to us, like really saying you matter to me, because once we build those connections, they're not just like, oh, well, we're a business connection, but I would never talk to that person like outside of that. And I think that can really be recognized and used to our advantage. So I wanted to kind of give some peace of mind and give you my simple as 1, 2, 3 steps for connecting with ease. So step 1 is going to be leaving a note. Whenever you get the option to make a connection, you have the option to add a note. And doing that whenever you're connecting with someone can make a huge difference in how they perceive you. And it shows that you've taken the time to personalize the invitation and that you have a specific reason for wanting to connect with them. And it can help you build a stronger connection and potentially lead to more opportunities in the future. And additionally, it can also help jog their memory if you've met them in the past. Like if you wanted to tell them, oh yeah, I saw you at XYZ conference or something like that, then it'll help remind, and then they'll actually connect with you. And then the other part of it is that it'll help them remember you in the future as well. You weren't just another random connection that they got. You were a connection that reached out, said that you wanted to have a call with them and, ask how they were and really tried to get to know them beyond just, oh, you do this as a business and I want to use that to my advantage kind of thing. And so that is my step 1. So next time you hit a connect button, just take a minute to write a brief message explaining what you wanted to do whenever you connect and introducing yourself, and it can make all of the difference. And then step 2 is definitely keeping things casual. And by that, I don't mean that you can't have work-related conversations, but I do mean that your connections don't have to start that way fully. LinkedIn is primarily a professional networking platform, but that doesn't mean that you have to be overly formal in your approach. Keeping things casual can help to break the ice and make the connection feel more authentic. So it's important to remember that people are not just their positions, and the people that you're connecting with are humans too. And a friendly, approachable demeanor can go a long way in building a long-lasting connection. Secondly, a more casual approach can also help make you more memorable. Kind of like we were talking, or kind of like I was talking about a second ago. You really want these people to remember you and not just add on to a connection and become a part of the network that you're not really talking to that much. If you're too formal or stiff in your communication, then you could come across as dry or unapproachable. But by injecting some personality and humor into your interactions, you can stand out from the crowd and make a really long-lasting impression. And then my last tip is to stay engaged. So you definitely want to continue having those conversations with them, continue the conversation. Don't just say, hey, I wanted to connect, and then not respond after that, or not, looking at their posts and whatnot. Like when you see their posts come up, you want to like those things and comment on them. And it can really help to make the connection feel less transactional. It should, like, all this networking should be about building genuine relationships and not just collecting contacts. So by making sure that you're staying engaged, you can create a more relaxed and enjoyable experience for you and the other person that you're connecting with. And then and then you get to have like that relationship that's actually beneficial in both the personable way, but the professional way too. And then you want to continue sharing like your insightful content, commenting on their posts, and participating in those conversations. And you can establish yourself as a thought leader in the industry and forge valuable connections with other professionals. So staying active can also keep you up to date with new news and trends, and it can be incredibly valuable for your growth and development. So you definitely want to stay fully engaged after you make connections. And that is all I have for you. I didn't want to overload y'all too much with all of the LinkedIn information, but I thought that was a good brief overview to start.